There are tons of FTP programs, both free and premium, or otherwise known as paid programs. In the category of free FTP client programs, there's one that stands out and above the crowd. It's called FileZilla. This video is going to cover the downloading and basic installation of FileZilla. Now, technically, FileZilla is a donationware type of software, meaning you can use it for free all you want, but the creators would very much like for you to donate some money to them if you like using the program. Now, not only is this great karma for you, but it also helps provide money for future updates and support. So without further ado, let's head on over to the FileZilla website to get our software. And we're looking for FileZilla-project.org. And you're going to end up at a page like this, and you've got a couple of options here, well, a couple of major options. That's the client or the server. Now, when talking about File Transfer Protocol, or FTP, there are two ends of the transfer process. The server end, where the files are on the internet, and the client end, where the files are on our computer. So most all of us will only need the client portion of the FileZilla software. So we first off want to just check out the client. So we want to click on that. Oh, and by the way, you may want to bookmark this page here. That way you can refer back to this to cover anything that I may not cover or skim over in this video. Well, let's go ahead and head over to the client. As you saw there, it covers all platforms. Now we want to decide on which platform we have, and of course that's something that you'll have to answer for yourself. My operating system is Windows, and if something says recommended, that's the one you probably want to go with, more times than not anyway. Now if you're using a Macintosh operating system, then you've got these options to choose from here. But or Linux, don't want to leave you guys out of the picture. But I'm going to go with this guy here because that's the one that's recommended. Go ahead and click on that and get their advertising stuff out of the way. Now I've got it set up on my system to download all of my downloads to my downloads directory on my computer. You may have yours set up some other way, but that's just how mine is set up. The executable file here has a parentheses and the 1 there because I've already got this particular file in my system. Right here, along with a lot of other older ones. Yeah, I've been using this for a while. So let's go ahead and skip this because I've already got it downloaded right here, but you get the idea on downloading it anyway. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that out. Let's head on over to my downloads folder. Okay, so here's my downloads. Come on down here to this guy here, and I'm going to right click and I'm going to run as administrator. This guy pops up, and you may get a different type of message depending upon, your operating system. I'm using Windows 7. Click on yes, and then I get this guy to pop up. Click on agree. Of course, you want to read all this fancy stuff first, but click on agree. And anyone who uses this computer, that's totally up to you, however you want to do this. Click on next. And I just go with the default settings. That's always fine for me. Now let's go ahead and throw a desktop icon on there. And as you can see, as we hover over these, it gives you a little description over here. So if you're not sure about it, just untick it. But this all looks good to me. And click on next. And unless you know what you're doing, I would leave it as far as the default location of the destination folder. Click on next and click on next, and it's installing away. And let's go ahead and start that guy. And here we are. That's how simple it is to download and install your FileZilla FTP software. Now in closing, I want to say that when there is an update to FileZilla, this is one of the cool things I like about this, besides the fact you can't beat the price, is that when you open up your client software and there is a new version of FileZilla, you're going to be given the option to update instantly, or you can manually update later. Totally up to you. I just do the instant because it takes less than a minute and I'm back to work with an updated program. Simple Simon. That is the end of this video on downloading and installing the FileZilla FTP software. Thanks for watching. You have a great day. In order for you to have, build on, and maintain a website, you're going to need at least a domain name, a web hosting account, and some means of transferring files back and forth between your computer and your website. Now, once you have purchased your domain name and have a web hosting account, you need to assign your domain to that hosting account. That's what we're going to be doing in this video, connecting your domain to your hosting service. Now, when you purchase your web hosting service, you're sent some important information about your hosting account. Usually it's sent to you through an email. Now, among this information is what is called the name servers. These name servers need to be added to your domain name account in order for the internet to know that the domain is yours, and this also allows the world to see your soon-to-be totally awesome website. Now, while this might sound really techy, it's very simple to do, as you're about to see. Now, you're going to need the email or the info that your hosting company sent you when you first purchased their services, and you'll need to log into your domain account. Now, let me just give you a couple of examples of the emails that I had received from the various hosting services that I've been using. For example, here's one for Lunar Pages. And the one that I got from Lunar Pages was a real long email, and in amongst that information was one that said domain name instructions. It was really long, and at some segment in that long email was this little bit of info here titled domain name instructions. And this is the name servers that need to be added to our domain name registrar, and I'll get to that here in just a second. I just want to point out what to look for. Now, some domain name registrars, none that I've ever used, but some of them will require you to also have an IP address along with the name servers. Lunar Pages supplies that to you right here. Some of the other ones that I'm about to show you, not so much. You just kind of got to dig around for them. Now, this one here is one that I got from Namecheap. Now, Namecheap I also use for domain names, but they've also got a pretty cool and very inexpensive hosting account as well. And this one, again, was a really long email, so you see I kind of cut out some of the parts here so I can squeeze it into the video here. But in amongst this information was a little segment that said name server information. And as you can see, these guys, kind of like these guys here, starts off with something NS, or as in this case with Namecheap, it starts off with DNS 1 and then DNS 2. Now, most all of them, at least those that I've ever used, only require 2 name servers. Some of them, though, will require more. I've never encountered those just yet, but, I've only been doing this for about 5 years. So I'm sure that they're out there because they do offer spaces for them, as you're about to see. And this one here I got from my most recent hosting account called D9. And they're an awesome group, by the way, but I don't want to get into a sales pitchy thing about this. But anyway, again, a real long email, and one of the segments in here, segment 3, gives me the primary name server and the secondary name server. And they also give you the IP addresses here, just like they had noted on the one from Lunar Pages here. But like with Lunar Pages, this one starts off with NS and then 2.5, NS 2.6, and so on. But again, I only need these 2 for the domain registrars that I've used. And last but not least, the one that I've got from HostGator, which again is kind of a long email, but not as long as these other ones were. But in amongst some of this information here, they give me the name servers. As you can see here, it starts off with NS like these other ones did, 253, and then the next one, or the secondary name server, is NS 254. So these are the emails that I received over time. So if your hosting account is with one of these companies, then this gives you a better idea as to what to hunt down in the emails. Now, of course, if you don't have these or have no idea where they're at, no big deal. You just need to contact the hosting company that you're using and have them send them to you. And if you've got a pretty decent support system with that hosting company, you might even try calling them up. That might save you some time. Or just send them an email and call them, however you want to do it, but just get it. And once you get it, make sure that you save it in a place you're going to know where it's at. A little organizational tip there for you. So let's head on over to, let's say, Namecheap, and let me demonstrate where we're going to be changing out our name servers. And once we log in, we're going to come to this page here. Then we come on up here to Domains, go over to My Account, Manage Domains. Let's pick this domain here. And right up here, Domain Name Server Setup. Just click on that. And you'll see here right below that we've got this option where it says transfer DNS back to us. You're only going to see this if you've already changed the DNS from the default that Namecheap adds whenever you first purchase the domain from them to another web hosting service, which I've already done. But let's go ahead and click on this. As you can see, I've already moved this particular domain over to the D9 hosting service. And these are the 2 name servers that were sent to me in that email that I just showed you earlier. So depending upon your hosting account and the information they gave you in that email, you'd want to just enter those here, the primary or the first one or the lower number in that sequence. If they give you one that has different numbers, like if it's NS1 or NS2, NS1 goes here, NS2 goes here. or in this case 25, then 26. Then click on Save Changes, and you're done. That's simple. Let's check out NameSilo. It's another domain name registrar that I use. Then once I log in at NameSilo, I end up at a page like this. Come on over to Domain Manager, and you can see right here where I've got a list of all the domains. One of the categories right here is the name servers that are assigned to this particular domain already. So let's go ahead and check that box, at which point these guys up here are highlighted. I come on up here and click on Change Name Servers. Again, pretty simple so far. And then right here is where we enter the primary name server and the secondary name server that, again, was sent to you in their email. And with NameSilo, they also give me an option to add an additional layer of security called Domain Defender. So before any changes take part here, I can have things set up to where there's a question that I've established along with the appropriate answer. And then once that's entered properly, then click on Submit right here, and then the changes will take effect. And there you go. See how easy that was? And completely painless. Now it's just a matter of time. Depending upon your web hosting service, the internet might be able to see your domain in a couple of minutes, or as most hosting companies will tell you, between 24 and 72 hours before your domain is able to be seen on the web, as well as you not being able to access the control panel for that domain. So you should always figure that it will take, at the most 3 days before you can see your website, so that when you can actually see it in under 10 minutes, which with me has been most of the time, you will be much more happier than, the other way around. So plan on it taking 3 days, and it will more than likely only take a few minutes, rather than you planning on it taking a few minutes and it ends up taking 3 days. So that's the end of this video on name servers and connecting your domain to your web hosting account. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day. In order for you to have, build on, and maintain a website, you're going to need at least a domain name, a web hosting account, and some means of transferring files back and forth between your computer and your website. Now, once you have purchased your domain name, purchased your web hosting service, and you've assigned the name servers from your hosting service to your domain name, you're going to need to have login access to your server and FTP. When you purchase your web hosting service, you're sent some important information about your hosting account, and among this information is the login details for your FTP and server. Now your server, what I'm referring to there, is the control panel, and that can be one of a couple of different options. I myself am most familiar with and really love cPanel as my control panel. Another one is Plesk, and there's a few other ones out there that are a little less popular but still basically do the same thing, only do it differently. Now, when you connected your hosting service to your domain name, you use some info that your hosting service sent you when you first purchased their services. Now, more than likely in that same email should also be the login details for your FTP and control panel for your server. Now, this is what it might look like. And of course, if you cannot locate it, then simply contact your hosting company and have them send it to you again. Now, this is one that I received from D9. And it was a rather long email, and they had it sectioned off into several different segments. This is number 4. Now, D9 Hosting is a fantastic hosting service, but depending upon your hosting service, it may look a little bit different, and for that matter, they may send you different login type credentials. For example, on the host name for D9, this is the way it looks. It starts off with www, then the actual domain name .com. Sometimes, but not always, it might also begin with FTP, or for a secure login for FTP, it might even be SFTP, S as in Sam, FTP, not the www. Then they also give you the username and password. Now, like it says here, an alternative might also be the IP address in place of the actual domain name here. Let me show you one that I also received from Namecheap. And Namecheap's pretty well known for their domain names, but they also have a hosting account as well. And this, like with D9, is a rather long email, so I just kind of cut chunks of it out that didn't really pertain to this. And this is an example of a different type of login where they give me, instead of the host name here as the actual www. Then the domain name, the host name here is the actual IP address, then the username, then the password. And down here they've also got a similar login method using the IP address as the server address, just like here as the host name. And then the username is actually this username here with the @ symbol and then the domain name. then the password, and then this is for a passive mode. Now, if you wanted an active mode, and with Namecheap, it might require contacting them to have them set that for active. And this video is not about the difference between active and passive mode for FTP. This is just about getting your login information. So I might cover that in an upcoming video. Now, this should go without saying, but hey, I'm going to say it anyway. You should have some type of organization in place to help keep these important login details where you know where they're going to be. Whether it's something fancy like with a mind map or a spreadsheet type programs, or just some simple text document. Having this information organized and in a safe place will save you loads of time, and even more so as you gain more domains. So organize now, save time later. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day. Hi, this video will demonstrate how to connect your FileZilla client software to your hosting account server, basically your website. Now at this point, I'm hoping you already have downloaded and installed your FileZilla client program. Otherwise, this video may seem a bit confusing. So let's open up FileZilla and grab the FTP login details that was sent to us by our web hosting company. We'll bring this into the picture here. Now, depending upon the service that you're using, the web hosting service you're using, will depend upon exactly how the information looks, the login details that they sent you. For example, this is one that I received from Namecheap Hosting, and in one instance, they've got the FTP. This is the server or hosting name that goes in here, and they've got it in the form of an IP address, which will work just fine. And one that I received from my D9 hosting, totally different, but it still works the same. The host name that, like here, they have just listed as FTP is in the form of a URL. Now, sometimes this does not have a www in front. It has an FTP. Sometimes it also has an SFTP for the secure transmissions, but you still have the username and the password. Now, if you're confused about what your particular login details are from your hosting account, just give them a buzz or just send them an email and ask them. But leastways, now you've got a pretty good idea as to what's required. You're going to need at least three things: the host or server name, the username, and the password. Now, 99.99% of the time, the port you can just leave blank or just put in 21. Now I'll just kind of go over the FileZilla software interface here, and for the most part you're going to find this to be pretty much the same no matter what FTP client software you're using. For the most part, on the left hand side here you've got your computer or the local side, like it says here, and on the right hand side you've got the server or the remote side. Now up here at the top you've got the main software toolbar, and there's a whole lot more to this FTP software than just transferring files from your computer to the host. But in this video we're just going to be covering the connection process. And next, right here, we've got what's called the Quick Connect server bar, and you can either connect through this to your server, or you can go up here from File, go to Site Manager, and set things up here. This would be more of a permanent basis, whereas this would be more of a temporary. Now, either way will work just perfectly as far as getting connected to your web hosting server. Now, this area right in here really doesn't do a whole lot for you, but it's called the FTP message log area. And for the techies, there are some details in here that might help you understand more about what's going on. And down here at the very bottom, and you can always scroll these guys up and down to give more room for the area that you're more interested in seeing or gaining access to. But down here we've got the file transfer queue, and you've got some additional tabs down here that will tell you about all the files, the failed transfer files, and the successful transfer files. So that's a quick look at what's going on here. Let's go ahead and get connected. Now again, you can either use the Quick Connect, and if you use the Quick Connect, then the information that you put in here is stored over here if you hit that drop down arrow. Of course, this being a new install, there are none. But if you were to put in the connection for one of your domains and successfully connect, then you can hit this drop down arrow and it'll be listed in here. You would then just select that, click on Quick Connect, and like the name implies, boom, you're quickly connected. Likewise, if you have multiple entries in here, maybe you've got several different domain names and you use the Quick Connect for connection to all those servers, then you'll see an ongoing list here of all those servers you've connected to. Again, just select the one you want to connect to, click on Quick Connect, bing, bang, boom, you're there. Another way, and again, what I consider more of a permanent way, is come on up here to File, go to Site Manager, Come on down here and click on New Site. Give it a name. Again, try to keep things as organized as possible. And as soon as you click on New Site, you're going to see all these other options become available. Now, a lot of this is pretty self-explanatory, but again, right now I'm just covering the basics. And I just want to enter in the host name, and I'm going to leave the port alone because for the most part, it'll work just fine if it's blank. But again, 21 is what goes in there. And I'm going to put in the host name here, copy and paste. And for the protocol, in this case, we're going to just leave it at FTP. And for the encryption, we're just going to leave that alone. And for the login type, we're going to go to normal. And for the user and the password, those are the other two items of the three that we need to successfully log in that we receive from our hosting account. And let's go ahead and put in here. And the password, thusly. And click on connect. And of course, you've got a spot here for any comments. If, say for example, if this particular FTP account was set up for someone doing some work like an outsourcer or something, then you might want to put in a comment here, delete at this date or something like that. You can see up here that whatever this stuff means, that it happened and that we are successfully connected. And that's it. That is how you can connect your FTP client software, in this case FileZilla, to your server, and a little bit of a breakdown of the different parts of the FileZilla user interface. Thank you very much for watching, and you have a great day.